Okay, good evening. This is the December 12th, 2023 regular board meeting of the Palo Alto Unified School Board. The board met in closed session and voted 4-0 on student discipline case SS 2324.01. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda order?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Student preferential board vote? All those in favor? Aye. Great. Okay, it is time for election of the officers. And Dr. Austin, I believe I'm taking my gavel and I believe I'm handing it to you. I promise I'll just hand it to you. I'm not sure I'm going to use it. It's all you.
Okay, so this always feels a little bit awkward, so I'm going to explain the process just real quickly. For this portion of the meeting, I'm going to run this piece. First of all, thank you, Dr. DeBranson. I'm sure you'll hear a couple words here at the end. But it is time for us to elect the next president of the school board. So in just a moment, I'm going to call for nominations. And at that point, if we have a second, we will move forward to discussion and a possible vote. Once the president is selected, the president will take the meeting agenda from that point and run the rest of the meeting. Does that make sense? Yep. All good? Okay, so at this point, I will call for names of nominations for the position of board president.
I nominate Trustee Ledemerick.
I second.
Okay, it sounds like we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I did have comments.
Certainly.
I just want to clarify, a board member mentioned to me recently that they thought the president of the board had influence and impact on district affairs more than the other board members. And I wanted to clarify that I do not think that is the case. The board president presides over our meetings, of course, and determines the agenda of the meetings in consultation with the superintendent and the board vice president. And they propose committee assignments that are for the standing committees approved by the board itself. And if needed, talk to our attorneys in certain narrow situations. If needed, they can speak for the board, primarily to the media on time-sensitive situations. That's pretty much it, at least it was when I was board president. So while it's a very important role and we need it to function, it really does not have more impact on district affairs or board decisions than the other board members. In the end, the board only acts as a body when we take action by voting. If anything, in my experience, the board president generally takes a step back and advocates somewhat less so they can preside effectively. If any of the other board members think that's not right, I would appreciate hearing it, because that's always the assumption that I've operated on. We've always had a straightforward rotation of board leadership in our district, which in my mind reflects the limited and mostly ministerial nature of the role. And if there's a different view of the president's role, it would be good for everyone to be on the same page.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, then it's time to call for the vote. We'll start with preferential vote for each of our student board reps. Aye. Is that also an aye? Okay. Could have just said ayes. All right, thank you. Okay, and I also want to acknowledge Mr. Drop is absent tonight, not with us, traveling. So, for the board, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Looks unanimous.
Yeah, only roll call if he was calling in.
That's correct. All right, we got through this part relatively painless. Congratulations, Ms. Ledemerick.
Yay, Ms. Ledemerick. Wait, no. No, this is the org. This is the org, yeah. Thank God. I think you now call for nominations. You just call for nominations for vice president?
I don't have to gavel anything?
No.
Okay, so now we need nominations for board vice president. Do I have a motion, Ms. DeBrienza?
Sure. So I've been thinking about this one. There are clearly two people that will still be here the following year. Mr. Darup and Ms. Siegel. Mr. Darup is not here, so I'm going to start with Ms. Siegel. Ms. Siegel, is that a nomination you'd be interested in accepting?
Yes.
All right, I nominate Ms. Siegel.
I second.
All those in favor?
Any-
Oh,
any-
preferential board vote.
First, maybe, any discussion?
Anybody, any discussion?
I wanted a brief comment, if that's okay. I appreciate that we've nominated Ms. Siegel. I think it's sometimes mysterious to people, including people who have sat on the board. I know it was when I joined the board, what our succession rules and customs are. And so I just wanted to clarify on that too. And in terms of rules, as we joke sometimes about many of our things at the school board, the rule is there are no rules. There's nothing written into board policy or ed code or anything else about how we choose the leaders for this group. There is, however, a long-established custom that goes back at least 20 years. I've documented it back 20 years, and I'm sure it goes back much further, which is basically that we go by year of election, and then within year of election, by how many votes each person received, with the top vote getter going first. And so for the 2016 class, which Ms. DeBrienza and I were members of, Ms. DeBrienza would go, and then I would go, and then for the 2020 class, it was Ms. DeBrienza again, and then Ms. Letter-Merrick. And then I'm being skipped over, of course, because I won't be here in 2 years when it would be my turn to be president. So it doesn't make any sense for me to be vice president. And that's actually been the custom, with very rare exceptions, going back 20 years. I basically wanted to comment. I think it's a really good custom, because I think it shows to the community and shows to ourselves that we are a team that has mutual respect and works together to serve our students and our community. And so I'm very happy that we're continuing to follow that custom, and I think it helps make our institution stronger at a time when so many institutions in our world are embattled and uncertain of what they should be doing. I think it's good for us to stick to something that's worked so well for us. So I'm looking forward to voting for Ms. Siegel.
Okay, any more discussion?
I just wanted to thank Ms. DeBrienza for the nomination. I'm truly honored, and I'm ready to step up to a leadership role on the board. I would be eager to partner with Jesse as vice president. And as Todd was saying, next year is an election year, so having stability in the leadership roles is key. And one thing that I have admired and appreciated about this board is the democratic rotation of leadership. And I look forward to, and I'm ready to take on the responsibility of vice president. I just want to say it's a pleasure and honor to serve this district, and every day I continue to be inspired by our incredible students and staff, and I look forward to more years of service. Thank you.
More discussion?
Not for me.
Okay. Student board member preferential vote? All right, all in favor of Ms. Siegel's nomination?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Congratulations.
Now we have to.
No, we have to do these other, oh wait, recess for reseating. Yeah. Let's do that.
So you recess us.
Yep, you have to recess us.
You're going to put us in recess?
Really, actually.
Well, let's say, what, 3 minutes?
Okay, we're going to change seats now. All right, looks like we're moving on now to naming the board representative for the county committee election. Dr. Austin, do you have a presentation on this? Or?
Nope, this is just your item.
It is typically the board president.
I
that
know,
takes
I
the-
see that, yeah. So do we have to vote on it here? I guess we have to vote. So can I have anyone want to make a motion to nominate?
I move that we waive the two-meeting rule on this item.
Do you have a second?
A second.
All those in favor of waiving the two-meeting rule?
Twins.
Okay, colleagues?
Aye.
Okay, so we waive the two-meeting rule. Now, any discussion on the item?
Or nominations of the,
Yeah, that'd be part of discussion.
has anybody read the item?
Yeah, the item. Anyone have a motion to name a representative?
I name that the board president is our
Figured you were
representative.
going to do that. Yeah. Any second?
I second.
Okay, there's a motion on the table. Any discussion? Okay. Student board members, preferential vote? Colleagues?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on. Proposed calendar for Board of Education meetings for 2024-2025 school year.
I move we waive the two-meeting rule.
Okay. Any,
That has to be unanimous vote, by the way, since there's only
yeah,
four
because
of
there's
us
only 4 of us. All right, so any discussion on that? All right, student preferential? Aye, okay. Colleagues?
here.
Aye.
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 All right, two-meeting rule is waived. Do we want to have a discussion about the proposed schedule,
Well, let's get a
Board of Ed
a
meetings?
motion on the table. I move we approve the proposed schedule for the 24-25 school year. as
Second.
presented.
Okay, any discussion? Okay. Student preferential board vote? Aye. Colleagues?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on. Okay. Board of Education Committee assignments for 2024. There's no action on this. This one I will say, I've talked to most of you already. I will send out sort of my ideas what the assignments will be, and then I think you guys already know what they are, but you'll let me know if you disagree. And we don't have to take any action right now, right? Okay, does that sound good, everybody? Okay. All right, moving on to reports, student board member reports. Who's going first?
All right, hello everyone. It's good to be back. So starting off on the week of our last board meeting, Gunn held its annual Harvest Feast. Similar to Pally's Pie Palooza this year, we had slices of pie and whipped cream available for all students, but we also had parent volunteers distribute turkey, mashed potatoes, and stuffing, with more than enough for everyone to get seconds. We also had a pieing event where the more money that we raised, the more money that got pied. And along with an entertaining set of pies of teachers and students, we reached and exceeded our goal of $3,000 for our fundraiser to Second Harvest of Silicon Valley. Shout out to Gunn Junior Site Council Representative Chloe Wang for leading this event. Next, we'll be showing a video about this soon, but Titan Town Hall happened in late November. This was a new event this year, and I won't speak up too much about it, but just thank you to everyone who attended. Dr. DiBrienza, Dr. Austin, and Ms. Conaway were panelists, but also Ms. Latimeric and Dr. Lopez were there spectating as well, and it was great to just see everyone there. To round off student council events, we just finished our annual ping pong and winter sports rallies. The annual ping pong tournament took place from December 4th through 7th during lunch in Bow Gym. And then on Friday, December 8th, the winter sports rally took place during lunch in Titan Gym alongside the ping pong tournament finals. After the winter sports teams were introduced, students watched the final table tennis match between junior Sam Little and Owen Schroeder and junior Oren Kim and sophomore Toby Wong. Eventually, Kim and Wong were crowned this year's ping pong champions, and they were given trophies. Shout out to our sports commissioner, Beverly Lamis, and spirit commissioner, Miriam Kaborsi, for organizing the events. Moving on to club events, ROC, which is Reach Out, Care No, and Lifestyle Medicine Club, held a gratitude chalk wall. So on Thursday, November 16th, the two clubs partnered up to host this event. During lunch, students were able to answer various gratitude prompts in chalk, and their peers got to see it on the N building as they walked to their English and math classes. Title IX also just finished up their domestic clothing drive. They hosted it on the quad, and the drive aimed to support victims of domestic violence, which is a significant factor in homelessness for women and children. The club collected winter coats and clothing in good condition to donate, and additionally, the club provided informative flyers and candy for those who participated. Moving on to publications, our newest issue of The Oracle was out this past week, and it features our first photo essay on campus construction and a front page story on PAUSD's new Foothill programs. Inside, we have perspectives on how we should honor historical figures, features on student hip-hop dancers, and holiday-centered stories. I also know that special education is a topic that comes up frequently at these meetings, so I just wanted to spotlight our in-depth story. Lifestyle editor Caitlin Chen and reporter Fenton Zarlango did an awesome job of just covering the different special education programs at Gunn. I think I told them to forward that email or that article to board@pausd.org, and I definitely recommend everyone here to check that out. The Chariot is Gunn's social and political magazine, and we also have a new issue. Our cover story is about the need for an overlap of STEM and the humanities given the far-reaching implications of new AI technologies. We also have our usual news blurbs, a story on boba liberalism that talks about the rise of performative activism, a critique of the Bechdel test, and the need for students to be involved in fostering more inclusive school communities. And then coming up right now at Gunn's Library, our site council is hosting Data Night. So Tosa Tara Forenzi compiles lots of data on the courses students are taking, demographic breakdowns, standardized test scores, and more. And then our site council, students, and other community members are reviewing that right now. As some background on Gunn's Student Council, every class member must attend at least one board meeting or one site council meeting each semester, and both of the last meetings of this semester are tonight. It was a little hard to attract people given that Data Night offers free Chipotle for all students. So anyway. And then to finish off, Cozy Snowman's is happening on the freshman quad this Friday, where students will be able to get hot chocolate and cookies while decorating cards and hearing from Gunn's Tri-M Music Honor Society. So just a fun lunch event leading up to finals. And that's it from me.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, right now we are in my absolute favorite part of the year. This is the time where everyone has basically no social life as we attempt to prepare for the gauntlet of finals that is next week. And since we don't have a review week with no new content this time around, most of us also have tests coming up. With that in mind, ASB has done what it can to make this time less stressful for everyone, as has our wonderful admin staff and all of our teachers. From ASB's end, currently we have 2 events running. First is the snack and study program. We're giving out pizza at around 5:30 every night, and also keeping the library open for longer so, we don't all become shut-ins in our room every night as we attempt to study for this. Judging by the rush when I tried to get my dinner there, and the long wait to get a single slice of pizza, it's been pretty popular. Hopefully, we hope that it'll keep the Pali community a bit more together in this stressful time. We've also entitled this week with the probable misnomer of De-Stress Week, where Wellness and ASB have jointly planned some events to hopefully make this week slightly easier to handle. Among those are a slime making event this Friday. To be honest, I don't understand how slime works, but hopefully the people who go there do. Hot chocolate will also be distributed on the quad this Thursday. Hopefully we all get through this, and parents, if we don't come out of our room for hours on end, I promise we are okay, or at least about as okay as we can expect to be right now. Moving on to sports. Winter sports are currently mid-season. One of the highlights that was mentioned to me was the boys basketball team, which is currently 5th in CCS. Also, the football team made it all the way to NorCal State Finals, moving Pali up another division. Not exactly sports, but our athletic commissioners put on an intramural dodgeball tournament. The winning team was called the Porcupines. And we had a lot of attendance. Can't say much for their name choices. No control over that one. Visual and performing arts, also having a lot of year closing events. Auditions for the Hamlet play next year have started. They're currently in progress. The choir held their annual madrigal feast, and we also have Play in a Day coming up after finals. We've also had a series of fundraisers recently. The sophomore and senior class put on fundraisers at Chipotle, Asian Box for the freshmen, and the juniors held Somi Somi fundraiser. I did not know that was a thing until we held that fundraiser. Seniors held their RISE consent education training. What that means is we get a bunch of students to go around, they get trained in how to teach consent education, which we do early next year, to hopefully help ensure Pali has a culture of being as safe and inclusive as possible. We also had a senior panel as part of RISE coming in to talk about the post-high school experience with safety, consent, and how to handle that at, after high school. We've also started planning prom. We're really excited about that. Totally not stressful at all for everyone who's really involved in planning that. We had a paper airplane contest. Mine did not go very far. We don't need to talk about that. Juniors held a breakfast event. Shockingly, people actually woke up early to get breakfast. This was a big surprise, but we were really proud of everyone who came in to hang out, eat some food. Good for everyone. And we also gave out some cookies on the quad. That's about all I have for you today. Just another reminder for the parents, we're okay. We'll be okay.
We will be soon.
On that note,
Thank you.
all right, I'll take over
Dr.
for the
Austin.
superintendent's report. First, we're going to start, Chris had mentioned the Titan Town Hall, and we're going to show you just a quick summary video. I think really nicely done. And again, just outstanding work at Gunn High School. So let's go ahead and see this.
Another one is the tenor of political discourse.
This event was Titan Town Hall. We invited a panel of district administrators along with site officials, and they were here to answer students' questions and just talk about things that students want to hear more about. Previous school board reps have held some kind of variation of a town hall in the past. This is the first time we've done it in an official town hall style in the library and also with food with the admin's help. Students spoke about Title IX, they spoke about consent education, about anti-Semitism, mental health, fentanyl training, and more. And I think all of these topics were really, really important just because they impact different sectors of our student body.
Yeah, I get lots of feedback, but a lot of times the feedback doesn't have a face with it. Like anyone else, you got to remember a school board is not a board of people with expertise in particular areas necessarily. They're community members. And like my role, but maybe even more extreme, they're not on our campuses during the day. So anytime I get an opportunity to hear from students directly in front of me, it's powerful.
I think that it really helps me understand the myriad issues that high school students in our district are experiencing and thinking about, as I learned about some things that I didn't know about before. So I think just even being at these situations helps that. Anyone can write to the board at board@pausd.org anytime. What is hard to parse out is that a lot of those things, although we'd like to be informed about them, they aren't our job, they aren't in our purview. So usually if you write to the board, the first thing we will do is acknowledge the email, but send you to the right staff member to deal with it. But it's always good for us to know what's going on.
To me, it really just boils down to accessibility in terms of having those district and site officials as accessible as possible. Especially for district admin, their district office is right next to Pali's. So if they're on their lunch break or just have some time during the day, they'll actually go to Pali classrooms and talk to different people and students about what they're interested in. And at Gunn, since we're not directly next to the district office like Pali is, we don't always have that privilege. So it's important to bring the panel here today so that students could ask about things that interested them. And we want to make sure that they're feeling supported by everyone who's here on campus and everyone who's at the district.
Really nice. A great event and a nice video on the back end. So thank you, each of you. Second part of my update, I just want to say every school board president comes up at the right time. And I've said that before, and I believe it, that the person who's in the seat, it's almost always like it's meant to be. For whatever that time, those things that come up, you always look around and say, I'm glad that person is in that seat at that time. And Jennifer was the right person at the right time for many reasons over this last year. It just worked out where you look over and you're thinking, I'm glad she's that person in this seat right now. And in a world where space for disagreement and authentic conversation is shrinking, she's always open to hearing the opinions and viewpoints of others. And this includes when she's had thoughts that differed from her superintendent. We were still able to have those conversations. One of the things I really admire the most about her. I have a ton of respect for Dr. DiBrienza and appreciate her more than she probably realizes. And appreciate this last year and our 6 together so far. So thank you. And I think, Ms. Loudameric, you're going to turn it over.
Colleagues, does anybody else have anything to say?
I also have great admiration and appreciation for Trustee DiBrienza, who I think has done, for the second time, a great job as board president. And I really appreciate your service and particularly, you know, it's, I know you're a very passionate person about education and you're passionate about our district. And one of the hardest things I think for people to do is to have the discipline to, you know, harness their passion and constrain it within this relatively Procrustean bed of board service and the processes and rules and kind of the way we have to do things as board members, which, you know, makes us powerful, but on the other hand, limits us in all the things that we can do. And I've never ceased to admire your ability to do that, because I've seen other people in the same position, you know, go off the rails. With passion like yours, I think it's hard to channel it in the, and that, I mean, I say this with all due respect, because your passion, I think, is unmatched in terms of your enthusiasm for both education generally and for our district. So I really appreciate that. I think it's been to the great benefit of the community and the board, and I personally thank you.
One of the reasons that I ran for school board was watching school board meetings and saying, wow, having an educator on this school board who is so passionate and so knowledgeable, and I have looked up to you for a very long time, and you were one of the reasons why I wanted to run for school board, not just because I looked up to you, but because I wanted to and want to work with you. And so I just wanted to say thank you for inspiring me and many others to attend board meetings, to maybe run for more leadership roles. So thank you for your time and service. We are very lucky.
Ms. DiBrienza, I know you aren't going anywhere. You still have another year on the board. But I want to join my colleagues and express my gratitude for your leadership over this past year. It hasn't been an easy year, and maybe that's true of every year, but certainly it was true of this year. I have the incredible fortune of being your close friend. And one of the things we've talked about in our personal life is how different our personalities are. We can both be passionate and we can both be analytical, but you lead with the former and I lead with the latter. I'm an introvert, you are an extrovert. But what I admire most about you as a leader is how you embody the very best traits of an extrovert. You are 100% committed to engaging with people, all people, people you agree with, people you disagree with, people with whom you have everything in common and nothing in common. And when you engage fully. You give not just your time, but you give your energy and you give your presence. And you truly seek to learn and grow from everyone you interact with. You make people feel seen and heard, even if you don't agree with them, because you really are seeing them and you really are hearing them. And I know I'm not going to be the same kind of board president you are, because I'm not the same kind of person you are, but I will be much better at the job because of the privilege of working so close with you over the past year. So thank you for your efforts on behalf of our students, and enjoy your retirement.
Yeah, what are you going to say next year? Thank you. Thank you, all of you, very much. I appreciate it.
And we have a gift of our appreciation for you.
I can't imagine what it is. Should I open it now?
Oh, yes, and that's from your colleague.
My gavel.
You want to open this here? Yeah, this is from Dr. Austin. You have to decide.
That's serious pressure, what? Oh, it's a shirt with a message? Okay, I'm gonna look first. For people who don't know, Jennifer always wears words on her clothes. If you could read this, I need more shirts with words to share messages about stuff. Truth. Hashtag truth.
That is some of my best work, Jennifer.
It is true, it is true. It is, the fact that I came today without a message is pretty rare for me, but thank you all so much. I see there's cards in here too.
Yes.
I am grateful, and I'm looking forward to moving on with our agenda.
All right, let's move on now. Okay. Yeah, let's clap for her. Okay, now we are moving on to staff reports. PAUSD Probus Equity Update from Addison. I see Principal Downing here.
I'll take this. I'd like to bring up our Addison Elementary Principal, Jeff Downing, to take us through our presentation tonight.
All right, good evening, President Latimeric, school board members, and Dr. Austin. It is my pleasure to be able to provide you with an update about the intentional work that we are doing in the area of equity at Addison. As you read in the report, Addison has been working to align itself with the district's SWIFT plan over the past couple of years. We have focused on student-centered supports by becoming an MTSS fast-track school, hold kid-by-kid meetings to look over data and discuss how best to meet the needs of our ESRI students, which currently make up about 44% of our population, and are providing intervention supports for both reading and math. Our site has undergone professional development training with both Facing History and Ourselves and Power My Learning. With the latest training, we are now working with a framework that is helping our equity team, most of them are with me today, become more focused and intentional on how we address the areas of equity. For the remainder of this presentation, I would like to share one of the areas of focus that has come from this work. Our team was looking over data from discipline referrals, the student school climate survey, and daily observations within the classroom, and recognized that emotion regulation needed to be an area of focus. When students cannot regulate their emotions, there's a tendency to act out in ways that disrupt the classroom environment for all students. Based on this knowledge, we are intentionally building up our culture at school with a focus on positive reinforcement and developing common language that can be used across campus. We had done similar work last spring around behavioral expectations on the playground. We came together as a staff and clearly defined rules and calibrated our responses to violations. Having clearly defined expectations that were consistently communicated and reinforced helped. Our students have reported more favorably that the rules are fair on the annual school climate survey and have less behavioral disruptions flowing into the classroom from play during recess time. Two areas of common language that we want to focus on are monthly life skills and zones of regulation. Life skills are character traits that tie in with our PTA's Project Cornerstone. These traits become a focal point for the month. So for instance, the month of December is generosity. If you take a close look at our school logo, you will notice that these traits are actually written in the branches. Zones of regulation help students develop language to describe feelings that they may have. Naming these feelings and having strategies about how to deal with them helps students learn to self-regulate and minimize behavioral outbursts. To do this, we are going to have posters displayed in each classroom for both life skill traits of the month and zones of regulation. This visual reminder will give students something to reference to when they're having difficulty. This will also be a reminder of the zones of regulation presentation that each classroom received from our wellness therapist this past fall. We'll be making some changes to our school-wide assembly that we currently do that will help build community by bringing us together more frequently and celebrating the accomplishments of each week. At this assembly, we will acknowledge students who have been caught demonstrating the life skill, have a communal message about the life skill, and continue the ritual of singing the Addison School song, The Arches of Addison. Along with these immediate changes, we will be working to strengthen our school-home connection with messaging about zones of regulation and monthly life skill. We'll be looking to enhance our buddy class program to connect students across grade levels, and we'll be implementing a junior staff program. This will give our 4th and 5th grade students an opportunity to lead lunchtime activities for younger students, allowing greater connectedness across grade levels as they serve as role models. We know that if students feel safe and connected at school, they are more likely to achieve their potential. They will feel better about taking risk and even receive help when it's offered. We are committed to creating a culture where every student feels welcome, safe, seen, and heard.
Thank you. Any comments, colleagues, student board members? Oh, Ms. DiBrienza. You get to go first now.
I get to go first. Wow, fun. I mean, it's a very similar to what we said to other schools, not to just be like regular here, but it's so great to see what's going on. It's so great to see the differences school by school. The regulation stuff, we've just been hearing so much over the past year or so, what a big issue that is for our staff and in our, that it impacts our school climate. So it's really nice to see you centering that and how that impacts everything, right? I also saw a pilot of the iReady Math, so I can't wait till we're hearing more about that, but that's just a side note. So thank you. Thank you for the work that you're doing every day. Thank you for sharing it with us so impactfully. And these are like my favorite times of each board meeting now, is just hearing this. So I'm grateful, and thank you for coming here late on a Tuesday night to show it to us.
Thank you. Anybody else? Students? I just want to close with saying I am obviously have a soft spot in my heart for Addison. I am on year 12 of 12 straight years of being an Addison parent. It's my last year. I'll be very sad to be gone. But I just want to speak to the fact that this is a difficult community to live in when you are a low-income family, and being a Title I school. I recognize you are part of our community and have different pressures at the school that I think communities at other schools don't quite understand. And I have so appreciated being part of that community. I think the benefit of having to struggle with a student body that's so diverse is that you're forced to struggle, where communities that aren't as diverse aren't forced to struggle. And so I know that there's been struggle, but that struggle has been of benefit to all of our students. And I'm very grateful to you for being in there and working for every student in our schools. So thank you. Are we done with them? Yeah, can they sit down? I think you're dismissed. Okay. Okay. Next agenda item is PAUSD Promise Mid-Year Snapshot. Dr. Austin.
We're excited about this one. And just before we jump in, just reflecting back on some recent stuff that's happened in the last week or so, we had a visit from a delegation from the Department of Education of Korea, who was here specifically to see our efforts in staff and student mental health. Pretty exciting. It's also one of our 5 priority areas. Last Friday, we were able to take students from, in this case, Pali, to Toyota in Sunnyvale and be able to talk to them about how things that they're learning through their teams will translate into the workforce and their careers later. And then they were all able to meet and take pictures with Jake Moody, the place kicker for the San Francisco 49ers. We couldn't get the Chargers up here, so we went with that. It's a shame. We also had about 30 superintendents and assistant superintendents from, oh, by the way, let's back up. That's part of our innovation program, which is one of our 5 priority goals. We also had about 30 superintendents and assistant superintendents come from the California Association of Latino Superintendents and Administrators, specifically to see our efforts in early literacy. And they made site visits and had presentations, and Ms. Reynolds was great with her. As you're seeing a pattern here, that's one of our priority goals. This Friday, we'll be involved in a national webinar. Is selected to represent, well, they wanted 2 school districts in the entire United States, and we were selected to talk about efforts as it relates to pieces of our equity and excellence, specifically in anti-Semitism and Islamophobia, again, tying to one of our 5 priority goals. So when we look at our 5 promise goals and see, are we doing decently? national and even international attention would say, yeah, it's working. The focus is working. And 4 of our 5 goals are exactly the same as when we started. It's one of the things I think, as Mr. Collins, who said, if you're a high-functioning organization, your yearly goals don't change dramatically each year. They evolve. And that is exactly what we've done, and we feel pretty good about it. But tonight, it's just a short mid-year report, and I'm going to start with Mr. Bahadur Singh, and then he'll introduce Dr. Che.
Thank you, Dr. Austin. For tonight's presentation, we're referring to the infographic that you have in front of you, as well as on the electronic version on the screen for the audience. Our plan is also to have copies of this at the school sites. It's available for our community stakeholders. While we're presenting just a condensed mid-year snapshot, we've also included in the board packet a more detailed of about 30 slides of information about the mid-year snapshot. So the PAUSD Promise serves as our strategic planning tool that we have prioritized into 5 areas. The notable changes Dr. Austin mentioned is the addition of innovation as one of those priority areas to go along with early literacy, equity and excellence, mental health and wellness, and serve and celebrate others. As you can see, as we scroll down a little bit on this card, you see the Power of One, which is our theme, the Power of One that we kicked off our school year with. And scrolling down a little further, you'll see the reference to core values. We began the year by working with members of our leadership team to really sit back and review and reflect on how they would describe the core values associated with the district. We found this to be a pretty valuable activity, so we thought we would extend that to all of our staff. And based on this, you can see in the diagram that many of the themes expressed in the survey are reflected throughout the PAUSD Promise. At this time, I would like to turn the presentation over to Dr. Che, who will, on the flip side of your card, will share the highlights from each of the 5 focus areas on page 2. But before I do that, I would like to take a moment to recognize and thank her. She is the person who is done the heavy lifting on the PAUSD Promise. She's taken the lead and spearheaded our efforts. So without further ado, Dr. Che.
Thank you, Mr. Bahadur Singh. Moving on to our first goal, which is early literacy. The goal itself is to have all students reading at grade level by the end of 3rd grade. The progress indicator we're highlighting here shows Latinx and socioeconomically disadvantaged students are performing the expected goal. This is only possible because of our dedicated teachers and staff. Our report also shows extensive effort in training and professional development. All these strategies help to build a strong foundation for our students. Moving on to equity and excellence. All sites engaged in a coordinated effort aligned to the SWIFT plan to embrace diversity. In addition, the district is providing free childcare to 650 students in partnership with childcare providers. We also launched a platform for MTSS to comprehensively monitor and support student progress. Next is innovation. We have been working closely with our local companies and organizations to offer mentorships, job fairs, internships, and certifications for our students. Staff is currently working on evidence-based grading, which fosters skill development. On the topic of technology, AI guidance and resources are created by the ad hoc committee. Finally, we're very excited to launch our middle college high school next year, supporting diverse pathways and lifelong learning. As you know, mental health and wellness is not just a local but global need. We're very fortunate to have more resources than some of the other school districts to care for our community. This fall, over 1,300 staff were trained in managing behaviors and crises. Full-time mental health support is also available at all school sites. In order to take care of our students, self-care is key. Many of our staff benefited from our in-house staff mental health services. Finally, we turn our attention to serve and celebrate others. Unity Day brought us together with the theme of Orange and Inclusion. We also hosted Special Olympics for students with disabilities, which included students from neighboring districts. Our adult school also provides over 100 different courses building a better community. In conclusion, while we're celebrating a lot of accomplishment in our mid-year report, we also recognize areas of improvement, and our staff is diligently working on continuous improvement at all levels. The Power of One theme has been integrated into all of our 5 priority goals. Following this report, we'll be bringing our annual report to the Board of Education in March next year. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thank you. We just received one comment, looks like, for this item. So one commenter, Ms. Chu Wong, you'll have 2 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Nicole Chu Wong. I'm the Executive Director of Dreamcatchers, and Dreamcatchers is a nonprofit that serves over 200 students at all 3 middle school sites, many of whom are in the target populations that the Every Student Reads initiative focuses on, except of course our students are in middle school. So I've spoken before about how grateful I am for Every Student Reads and the progress that was shown, and I just want to draw some attention to the fact that we have middle school students that were not able to be served by the work done by Every Student Reads initiative, and I hope that as we learn what works for those students, we shed light on the fact that it doesn't end the literacy problems that we see in our district, and particularly those of the targeted focus communities, does not end in 3rd grade. We have more work to do further up in their academic lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, colleagues, discussion? Anyone? Ms. Siegel?
One, I just wanted to call out and celebrate that for our 3 PD workshops, we received 100% of the staff saying it was a successful learning experience. And I think being a former teacher, that is, look back, that is very impressive. And so I want to thank Ms. Kelly Bickle for the work in clearly creating amazing PD. And I hope that we are able to offer these trainings to even more teachers, because clearly it was successful. That was one of my questions. Can I ask a question about reading apprenticeship?
Who should she direct the question to?
Yeah, that's what I, and if not, I can.
Ms. Reynolds is not here tonight.
Okay. I also just wanted to point out then, the number of students that are receiving free aftercare. So that number now is 650 students. And I went back in 21-22, 150 students received free aftercare. In 22-23, it was 235. And now it is 650. And so I very much want to thank Herb Espiritu for his guidance and leadership, as well as our aftercare providers, as that is a huge increase. And I think it's important that we note that and celebrate it, because that's very good work. And so those were my comments.
Thank you. Mr. Collins? No, go ahead. I was looking at you.
Thank you for this report. Appreciate it. And I do value the consistency of the goals. I think that's one of the ways we make progress, is having a few goals consistently applied, which I think one of the mistakes many school districts make is that they go the opposite direction. They have many goals and change them frequently, which is generally a recipe for limited progress. So I think our approach is a very sound one. One thing that I hope we will get at the final report, one of the things that I think we have moved toward over the years that I've been on the board is more metric-driven assessment of whether we're making progress. And particularly with the early literacy initiative, we made very clear goals about what it is we're trying to achieve, and so we could say definitively whether we had achieved those goals or not. I don't think we have that for all of these goals, but I think we have it for some. And one of the things that I'd really value in the final report, I don't think it's necessary for our mid-year report, is seeing clearly what our goals were and how we're doing versus achieving those specific goals. Because, you know, it's always easy to tell a story, and if you move the goalpost, you'll always score. And I think one of the hallmarks of our kind of results-driven regime is it's very important to have narratives and very important to say all the things that we did, but ultimately either we achieved the goals we set out to achieve or we didn't. And it's important to understand that and, course correct, celebrate if possible and course correct otherwise. So I'm hoping we'll see that as we get to the end of the year. Thank you.
Ms. DiBrienza.
Thank you. Thank you for the update. Similar to what my colleague said, it's just one of these very uplifting things to look at this report and to hear what you have to say. For every goal, there is a powerhouse thing happening. It's not just, I feel like when we first started this promise, it's like, okay, we have to get our scores up and, mental health matters. But we have like a big initiative that along the way so far seems like it's really doing what we want it to do, that there is progress, there is success, there are good feelings about it. But they're really exciting things, right? The fact that we hired someone in-house for our staff, initially we heard a lot of people were interested in and availed themselves of that service. I think in the future I want to know, like, are they still finding it useful? Is it helpful? Is it enough? Is it the right thing? But the initial feedback was that this was really needed. In each area, there is something really exciting happening, and it just makes me really proud. I think that we're really doing some good work, and if we keep seeing the outcomes that we're seeing, then it's just further feedback, right? It's that feedback loop for us. And I want to thank the teachers. Teachers pre-K through 12, but specifically for the ESRI, I know those teachers have been working so hard. Always have been working hard, but since we have thrown them with a lot of change, they're the ones doing this. So thank you.
Student board reps, any comments? No pressure.
I've said something similar before, but just making sure that there's buy-in also from the student and staff level. Sometimes I think I'm in a really unique position where I get to hear a lot from everyone here at the district and the board. I get to hear a lot from site admin, but I also get to hear from teachers. I get to hear from my peers. And sometimes what the board and what site admin is saying about something is very different from what I'll hear from students and teachers. I know during our meeting with Dr. Austin, Carthy was talking about evidence-based grading and how sometimes that can be a little murky. I've heard from teachers about how they had mixed feelings about the beginning of the year behavioral training that they had. So just making sure that, not saying that this isn't happening already, but making sure that we really are going beyond these slides and making sure that these different community members and stakeholders are informing the process of achieving the goals that we've outlined in the promise.
Thank you. Okay, any more comments? Carthy too, yay.
Yeah, so I just wanted to expand on a little bit about what Chris talked about, specifically, as I mentioned to Dr. Austin earlier today, the evidence-based grading system. That's coming a lot at site level, and as Chris said, when you're changing a system that's really embedded into like schools, like the grading system, it's really important to make it really clear to students what's actually happening, why it's happening, how does it work. And for a lot of students, that isn't really clear yet. Because, for example, at Pally, one of the kind of pilot programs for the shift towards evidence-based gradings has been our AP Lane courses. I'm in it, most of my friends are in it. And what we've seen is basically a system where, so far at least, we have the normal system with a degree of separation, which is to say that our assignments are graded on this evidence-based scale. They get thrown into whatever algorithm or whatever system is used to determine our final grade. And at the end of the day, for us, it doesn't make a difference whether it says exceeding expectations or A+. So what's really important when we're implementing these systems, like an evidence-based grading system, is making sure that it's clear what the difference is. Because from a student's perspective, when I check my Schoology page, I don't know what the difference is. My friends don't know what the difference is. When they look at and they see the system and they think, wow, I'm getting graded normally, only now I'm just more confused about what my actual grade is, what I need to do to improve that grade, and what I can do to improve myself as a learner. So with that in mind, I just kind of want to reiterate the, I guess, point of what I'm saying, is that a lot of the times when decisions and ideas are coming from the board, from the district, from staff, from site council and site administration, never really gets to the students what the point is and how it works. So it's really important that we make it clear what's actually going on and how students are supposed to understand that.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments? Anybody? All right, moving on to open forum. We have, it looks like, about 15 comments. Not quite 15. So everybody will have 1.5 minutes. Can you do that? Advanced math? Okay. All right, so we'll start with Emil B., Ella S., and Benafsha Irani.
Hello. My name is Emil Bota. I am an 11th grader at Pali. I'm here today to tell you about my Model UN class. Pali doesn't have a Model UN club, so I am part of an outside program that meets at Stanford each week. Last Friday's lecture was on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Instead of a balanced analysis, the teacher presented an anti-Zionist narrative about genocide and apartheid and completely ignored the Israeli side, the October 7th attack, or Hamas's role. Her lack of objectivity created an atmosphere of hostility for Jewish students and a lot of misinformation for the many students unfamiliar with this complex issue. The presentation was deeply upsetting, and I eventually got up and left. While not a class, this incident highlights the potential harm of biased teaching, especially for younger students. A 9th grader hearing this in an ethnic studies class would be worried about their grade and retribution from the teacher, and be afraid to speak up. If left unchecked, teachers can promote personal agendas, leading to harmful information and stifled critical thinking. Particularly on sensitive and complex issues like the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, our school needs to ensure that teachers provide the facts and encourage a balanced discussion. Thank you for allowing me to speak today.
Thank you. All right, we're trying to do students first. Ella S. And then, yes, I called Benafsha Irani. And then I believe there's one more student in the room, Ravina Nath. Okay, all right.
Hello, everyone. I am a sophomore at Pali. My name is Ella. F the Jews, free Palestine. It was only 3 weeks after October 7th. I was walking out of my class and some kid came up to me and said to my face, F the Jews, free Palestine. For the rest of that day, I was in utter shock that incidents like the ones I've seen on the news have personally happened to me. I have faced firsthand anti-Semitism for the first time in my life here at Pali. I felt unsafe and judged just for existing as a Jewish student, and I didn't know what to do. The reporting process looked so complicated and intimidating, and I started to realize that my teachers, advisors, and even assistant principals don't really know how to handle anti-Semitism. We need to admit that PAUSD has a problem, and I'm worried that the implementation of an ethnic studies course could result in even more hate for Jews. Instead of safe spaces, our schools will become breeding grounds for harassment and bullying like I've experienced. I ask you all, listen to your students, get educated, and commit yourselves to keeping anti-Semitism and all hate out of classrooms. The hate I've experienced should not have a place at PAUSD. Thank you for letting me speak.
Can I just say something really quick? I hear you that sometimes the reporting process might feel overwhelming. There are people that can help you through it, and I think we all really want you to report it so we have an accurate sense of what's happening on campus, and we can mitigate it. We can put in protections. We can deal with the harassment. So if you are unsure how to do it, ask for help from an admin, or heck, come to one of us and ask us, and we'll correct you with the right person to get it done. But please, please report all instances.
Just quickly, this is way out of process, so it's gonna be quick. The Friday update that's coming out this week will also go to all students. I've already written it, so I know what it says, and I really try to go slow and step by step as clear as we can. I've passed it around to a lot of people to give it a readability test, and it's all about how to report, to get help, where to go through, and then a description of what each step of a process would look like. So just know that that's coming this Friday. It's already ready to go. So appreciate it. And I'm sorry for what happened.
Thank you, Dr. Austin. Okay, Benafsha Irani, and then. Oh, wait, what about Ravina? Yeah, then Ravina Nath. I'm trying to go in the same order I called.
Oh, Benafsha's not a student, and Ravina is a student.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. You guys can reorder. Did she leave, Chris? Yeah, Ravina had to leave at 7:15. She's right there. She waved at me. And then Lori M. will be after Ravina.
Hi, I'm Benafsha Irani, and my daughter Ava Irani Rothenberg graduated Palo Alto High School in 2023 this year. She graduated with a 3.81 unweighted GPA, 4.21 weighted GPA. Her SAT score was 1520. AP scores were 5 5s and 2 4s. AP honors with distinction. Got interviewed by Princeton, Stanford, USC, Duke, UPenn. Got rejected by all schools except Santa Clara University and Santa Cruz. At Santa Clara this quarter that just ended, she got a 4.0. She'll be on the dean's list. And in multivariable calculus, she got a 98.7. She wants to apply as a transfer student to competitive colleges. So what stops her and why am I here? Reason being, in 10th grade during online COVID, she had the fault to get 100 on a chapter test exam in algebra trig H. Teacher, Mr. Nguyen, accused her of cheating without proof, gave her a big fat 0, no retest, yet the entire class cheated on the BC Calculus 11th grade exam, and they were all given a retest exam by the same assistant principal, Steingart. When asked again to Mr. Klein, he agreed to give her the retest, but Ms. Steingart again said no. She was transferred, so what was her case? She was transferred to Mr. Thomas' class, kept the 0 and no retest. District office was unreachable during COVID, according to them. Only support was to downgrade the math lane, even though the assistant principal knew
I'm
that.
so sorry, your time is up, but you can
Okay.
email the rest of your comments to PAU,
I
board
just
at
want to make one
pausd.org.
I just want to make one sentence since you keep talking about health,
I'm
mental
so
health.
sorry, I have to cut you off.
Her friend
Please
Sarah
email the rest of your
Matsumoto was,
comments
committed
to board
suicide
at
and nothing happened.
pausd.org. Our next speaker is Ravina, and then we have Lori M. and Sebastian D.
Hi, my name is Ravina Nath, and I'm the president of Guns Title IX Club.
We can hear you in here, but people who are watching on YouTube.
Hi, my name is Ravina Nath, and I'm president of Guns Title IX Club. I've been working with Dr. DiBrienza and our site-level administrators to implement consent education at Gun High School, but today I'm here to urge the board to start a committee dedicated to bringing consent education to the elementary and middle schools in PAUSD. Our youngest and most vulnerable students deserve more of an education than simply keeping their hands to themselves. Many students within our district and many teachers and staff and principals believe that sexual harassment and assault amongst elementary and middle schoolers is low, but that's just not true, and I can personally attest to many middle schoolers and elementary schools who have experienced sexual harassment and assault both in our district and outside. As of this moment, the younger students in our district have not been given the tools and resources to communicate how they feel and what makes them uncomfortable and unsafe. I know that nobody at the district level wants our students to feel unsafe, and so I'm urging the district to take action on this issue and start a committee from the beginning of 2024, extending throughout the school year, to work with students, parents, administrators, and district representatives in order to include all of our voices and bring consent education to the elementary and middle schools in our district. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Lori M., Sebastian D., and Sarah B.
Hi, I'm Lori Myers. I'm a parent of 2 PAUSD alums. I'm excited to help PAUSD launch a wonderful, unifying ethnic studies class that brings us all together and is great for our community. That said, I'm here to share several very serious recent incidents that can hopefully serve as cautionary tales for us here in PAUSD. First, at MA just up the road last month, a student blew the whistle on anti-Semitic lessons that their teacher taught in ethnic studies. What's worse, is we just learned that last week that parts of the lesson were also taught to another class by another teacher. District is still figuring out consequences for the teachers, but one of the results is that this entire group of students is going to have to literally be deprogrammed to counteract the false content, amounting to huge investment of resources and loss of instructional minutes. Teachers under investigation, really upset parents. Transparency would have helped. The Oakland teach-in on Palestine last week, dozens of materials in violation of laws, Ed Code, Title VI were given to teachers and taught to hundreds of students. District is still figuring out consequences for dozens of teachers who disregarded their superintendent. In PAUSD, we could do better. Tomorrow, at Maya Angelou High School in LAUSD, biggest district in the state, there will be a student-led teach-in for Palestine with a previously investigated teacher with a history of public anti-Semitism. It's already getting into local media. In PAUSD, we can do better. No one here wants kids harmed by a rogue teacher or for students to have to be deprogrammed. These incidents show how important it is to have total transparency, and we can make a class that's a model for the rest of the state.
Please email the
Thank
rest
you.
of your comments to board@pausd.org. Thank you. All right, we now have Sebastian D., Sarah B., and Jason H.
Hi, I'm the father of 2 students on the Palo Alto School District. I'm here because I'm deeply concerned that the ethnic studies curriculum will be used as a Trojan horse for anti-Semitism. This last 2 months, Americans saw what's been happening in our schools and were horrified. A couple of years ago, the state developed a model curriculum that ended up being filled with so much anti-Semitic content that it was ultimately thrown out. They had to start over. This can easily happen when things get done behind closed doors and without community input. And I fear that we are repeating the same mistakes in developing our own ethnic studies program. So I want to ask you to provide more transparency, ask for community input in the development of the ethnic studies program, make the committee meetings open to the public, at least for listening. Be willing to revisit things. If we work together, we can develop an ethnic studies program that we can all get behind. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah B., Jason H., Lenore L.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, everyone. I'm Dr. Sarah Benson Conforti. I'm a mom of 2 kids in the Palo Alto School District. Dear board members, I extend my gratitude to the school board for addressing concerns for the safety of our students in Palo Alto School District community. Education stands as the pillar of our societal values, as we must not permit the distortion of truth or the rewriting of history through disinformation under the guise of stories of oppression. Hatred takes root in denial, and we cannot deny the directed and systematic targeting of Jewish culture, people, symbols, history, to perpetuate a misleading narrative. PAUSD should not allow anti-Semite teachings as part of its curriculum. I urge for complete transparency, allowing our community to review the entire proposed curriculum of ethnic studies before the board makes its decision. Thank you very much for your collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason H., Lenore L., and Liz C.
Hi, I'm Lenore Levav. I'm a PAUSD parent of a Pally Junior and a former PAUSD student who's now in private school. I want to ask you to please include Jewish Americans in our ethnic studies class. Anti-Semitism has exploded across the United States and the Bay Area. It's fueled by lies about Jews and Israel. PAUSD can and should help to correct this. My family is from Iraq and was driven out 70 years ago as part of a large-scale ethnic cleansing of Jews from the Middle East. Ethnic studies curriculum should tell my story. The state-approved model curriculum has 2 lessons on Jews, including one titled, quote, Anti-Semitism and Jewish Middle Eastern Americans, that was contributed by Jemena. Jemena, if you don't know, stands for Jews Indigenous from the Middle East and North Africa. It's a national organization focused on educating and advocating on behalf of the 850,000 Mizrahi Jews who were refugees that were persecuted and exiled from Arab countries not long ago, many of whom, like me, live here in Palo Alto and throughout the state. Even President Biden's White House has recommended that we need to teach the history of MENA Jews in our K-12 schools to help counteract anti-Semitism. Along with others in our community, we are committed to working with the board and administration to ensure the Jews are represented accurately and respectfully in our classrooms. Education can combat anti-Semitism. Thank you for your time. I also want to give a summary of the White House initiative.
Thank you. All right, our last 3 commenters, Liz C., Sarith H., and Nicole Chu Wong.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you all. My name is Liz Cohen, a parent of 3 kids in the district. Today I want to start with a question. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate our district code of conduct? I've never thought that I need to ask this question explicitly. However, last week, this question was posed to university leaders of Harvard, MIT, and Penn during a congressional hearing. Their answer was, it depends on the context. I want to believe that in our district, calling for the deliberate killing of Jews or any other group is not acceptable. I bring this up because 2 months ago, the board passed a resolution condemning anti-Semitism. I'm grateful for the board taking a step in the right direction, and I'm glad to hear about the improvement on the reporting incidents. Board, my request is clarity. The Jewish community needs clarity on how do you plan to educate educators on both traditional and modern anti-Semitism, so educators know to identify and address it. What goals do you set to combat anti-Semitism? I also asked the board to start a committee so we can collaborate on it.
Please email the rest of your comments to board@pausd.org. Sarit H. and Nicole Chu Wong.
Hi, I'm Sarit Honigstein. I have 2 seniors at Gun High. Jewish students at PAUSD have been facing frequent and direct anti-Semitic harassment. Sadly, most of these incidents go unreported due to fear of retaliation or complex reporting procedures. Bias and discrimination have infiltrated our classrooms and school clubs with little control and reaction from teachers or staff, leaving our students even more vulnerable in an already charged climate. Around the Bay, we've seen teachers violating codes, abusing power, spewing hatred and division. I ask that you ensure a safe and inclusive environment for Jewish students by 1, training teachers and staff and students on identifying and responding to anti-Semitism, and 2, a transparent, responsible, thoughtful, and collaborative ethnic studies rollout. So far, all we got are mixed messages regarding timeline and whatever, a vague outline, and a survey that lacks definition and context, and I'm not even sure any 9th grader could possibly answer that feedback survey. I'm asking for you to take all proactive measures to ensure that nothing harmful will be said in ethnic studies or in any other classroom, and we offer our full support and partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last open forum comment, Nicole Chu Wong.
Hello again. Before I go on to my planned comment, I just want to acknowledge the heaviness of what's being discussed here and the anti-Semitism and Islamophobia happening in our district. With that said, I want to move on. As the co-president of the Palo Alto Chinese Parents Club, I'm here to invite you all to our Lunar New Year celebration welcoming the Year of the Dragon, and I'm inviting everyone at home and watching as well. It's going to be on February 11th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Mitchell Park Community Center. It's in its 8th consecutive year, and we'll have performances featuring Asian folk music, instruments, and dances that will be presented by very talented students from PAUSD as well as local artists. It's going to be a really joyous and vibrant celebration highlighting the richness of Asian art and culture, featuring exhibitions, game booths, delicious food, and much more. We're proud to be doing this with Wiz Chinese in collaboration with the City of Palo Alto, the Palo Alto Council of PTAs, Mitchell Park Library, and the Palo Alto Family YMCA. We're also grateful to have the sponsorship from Palo Alto Online and Palo Alto Weekly once again this year. Entrance to the event is free, and we will be selling food to raise funds to support Palo Alto schools and community organizations. Lastly, as you all know, due to limited parking at Mitchell Park, we encourage people to consider walking, biking, and carpooling. I hope to see you there to celebrate Lunar New Year with our Asian American community here in Palo Alto. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to approval of consent calendar. Can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I move that we approve the consent calendar as presented. I'm a little rusty.
Can I get a second? Second. Okay, discussion of the consent calendar?
I have a comment. I just wanted to comment briefly on item N, which is the approval of new middle school and high school courses. I really just wanted to call out, I'm so appreciative of our teachers because these courses only exist because teachers take the initiative to create them and offer them to our students. And I wanted to point out, the courses are Asian Literature, AP Physics 2, Mandarin for Mandarin speakers, and Stage Technology at a middle school, all of which were so far outside my experience in secondary school. I mean, so far outside, you couldn't even see them for where my secondary school stood. So I think it's just amazing that we have such great teachers who are able to offer such amazing options for our students. So I just want to express my appreciation for that. Thank you.
Any other comments?
One thing I want to point out real quick, because we've in recent meetings have a lot of people asking the board to create new classes. For those people, ta-da, this is the process. Any teacher can propose a course and bring it to the board. The board doesn't create the courses. I just wanted to clarify that because I'm sure we'll have more comments about that at some point over the course of the next few meetings or so.
Thank you. Anyone else?
And then just to finish off, both the Asian American Literature course and AP Physics 2 course were proposed by Gun teachers. As for the Asian American one, Ms. Ichikawa is an amazing English teacher. I've had the privilege of having her for 2 years. And a lot of people spoke about ethnic studies today. And I think what's really great about courses like this new proposed one is that ethnic studies shouldn't be the only semester where students are getting to explore their identities and they're getting to see, what it means to be an Asian in Palo Alto, what it means to be a Latina student in Palo Alto. And what we're hoping is that once this gets put on the curriculum and if it gets enough buy-in from students, that we're also able to offer things like Latina literature. And I think it's really cool that we have that. And then for AP Physics 2, this pretty much rounds out all the physics that the AP offers, and so now Gun will offer AP Physics 1, AP Physics C Mechanics year long, AP Physics C Mechanics semester long with AP Physics C ENM, and AP Physics 2. So students just they have all the options, and it's just moments like these where you realize how privileged we are to be able to offer all those different sects for just one physics. So,
thank you, Mr. Lee. Ms. DiBrienza.
Okay, I don't even know what all those classes are. I was sort of the comments that both of you made. One, it is wonderful to see new classes come up, the range of them coming from the teachers that are here and want to teach them. I know we always get the questions like, but what about the other site? And not every class is offered at every site. And if there's a teacher at the other site that wants to teach it, great, awesome. But it is lovely to see if there's demand for these physics classes at Gunn, that they are now being offered. And yet it reminds me of our students who come to our days, come to the mic once in a while and ask about our humanities advanced placement classes. Again, it's not for us to bring them. We hope if there are teachers out there that teach humanities that want to offer some other options for our students, great, bring them. But it is definitely skewing more towards STEM now, which of course there's demand for in this community, but we are often reminded by students interested in humanities that not all of the students are looking for those STEM classes, they're looking for other stuff. So it's just a reminder.
I actually wanted to follow up on most of these comments and just first reiterate how lucky our students are to have so many options and express my gratitude to the teachers and everyone who worked on these proposals. And I also wanted to mention briefly the new courses at Gunn and sort of follow up on what Ms. DiBrienza just commented. We're adding an AP option in science, and we're adding a non-AP honors option in English. And when it comes to core subjects, let's leave aside electives like language and music. Our high schools already offer significantly more AP and honors courses in STEM than in humanities. And I'm someone who sits up here and talks a lot about student mental health. And I'm very aware that as a school district, there's only so much, there's so much we can't control about the pressures that our students face. But course offerings are 100% in our purview. And the reality is all of our students, not just the ones who thrive in STEM, are under an enormous amount of pressure to pack their high school transcripts with AP and honors courses in order to look good on college applications. And so, we can laugh about the imbalance, but an unintended impact of that imbalance is that many students who enjoy and feel more confident in humanities classes can feel like they have no option but to forego those classes and instead take more math and science because that's where the AP and the honors courses are. And I feel compelled to say that as a school district, by leading these students away from classes that they want to take and feel confident in taking, we are actually negatively impacting their ability to thrive both academically and emotionally. And I hate that any of this matters, right? I mean, ideally, our students would not have to worry about whether a course is weighted or not. They would just take what they wanted. But as the adults in charge of this district, we have to accept that we have to accept the reality for what it is and not what we want it to be. We can't just tell them, don't worry, take the courses you want, you'll be fine, you'll get into college, because for many of our students, that just isn't their lived experience. And so that advice, it rings hollow, and it's out of touch, and it can actually add to their stress. So as a trustee of the school district, I'm thrilled that we offer so many AP and honors courses for students who enjoy and excel in math and science. But I'm frustrated that we don't provide the same breadth of opportunities for students who enjoy and excel in the humanities. It honestly feels like we're stacking the deck in favor of some students over others when it comes to applying to college. And that doesn't sit well with me. We shouldn't be doing that. So I don't have an answer here or a recommendation. I just wanted to acknowledge that reality and I guess just ask staff to continue to look for ways to create more balance between STEM and humanities, specifically when it comes to AP and honors courses. We can move on.
Now we can vote on.
Yes, we move on to voting. I got it. No, there's one public comment on the consent calendar. Should we take that? I don't know what it's on, but it may not, probably isn't on this. Let's take it. Michelle Higgins. Might have nothing to do with what we just talked about.
Hi, I wasn't planning to speak tonight, but here I am. I just wanted to express my gratitude for the middle college program. It's really akin to a miracle for many students, including my own. especially for those who do not thrive on our campuses. It is an empowering learning environment with a focus on community, autonomy, and student accountability. Grades are truly not the focus, but it's actually incredibly intellectually rich. It's really about the joy of learning, and students engage in free-flowing conversation. It's exciting for them. It's a wonderful program. Many more students in PAUSD can and should benefit from this program, so I'm really excited to see the rollout of the PAUSD version. My biggest concern is around the selection of teachers to be sure they truly embody the necessary mindset. This is the most critical component to ensuring the success of the program. It's really so different from regular school. And I know that you all know this, I think, but it's really what will make or break the program. I also hope that the district runs buses to and from Foothill, because currently I'm a professional unpaid Uber driver for my child, and it takes up probably an hour of my day every day. And I really hope that our district also learns from the middle college program and the philosophy and what works about it and why students actually thrive and grow socially, intellectually, in all sorts of ways. And that we can bring some of that into our classrooms here. So anyway, thank you, and I look forward to the report on it.
Thank you. Okay, now we're moving on to vote. So we have a motion on the table. Yep. Student preferential board vote. Aye. Colleagues?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Action items. First, interim budget report.
Okay, I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Chow.
Thank you, Dr. Austin. I'm pleased to both welcome and also extend some appreciation for the hard work that Ms. Yu and her team have done in preparing First Interim. And with that, I will let Ms. Yu start us off on the presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Chow. The first interim financial report encapsulates the fiscal landscape from July 1st to October 31st. As per the state requirement, this report serves as a key indicator detailing actual financial standing and forecasting expectation through June 30th. The district's budget demonstrates its ability to meet fiscal obligation for the current and subsequent 2 years. This summary outlines the comparison between our adopted budget and first interim figures. Our budget was approved on June 21st and underwent significant changes from June 21st to October 31st. These changes include updated property tax projection, finalizing the 22-23 fiscal year accounts, reinstating one-time funds such as art, music, instructional material block grant, and learning recovery, as well as concluding the ongoing property Prop 28 funds. The result of fiscal year 22-23 indicate a $5 million increase in the general fund balance. It's important to note that the $3.8 million of this increase is non-spendable due to the implementation of GASB 87, an accounting standard that recognizes lease-related liabilities and assets. Consequently, our actual spending capacity with this increase stands at $1.2 million. During this reporting period, we meticulously assess our one-time funds and permissible expenses. We strategically utilize these funds to reclassify some general unrestricted expenditure, providing a clearer financial picture. We are currently engaged in negotiation with our bargaining unit. We aim to align our expenditure effectively for planning and potential staff salary increases. However, it is crucial to acknowledge that these one-time federal and state dollars are depleting. We've also initiated plans to utilize site carryovers, which impact our ending fund balance. Presently, our budget is balanced with a positive position to be in. Nevertheless, it's imperative to approach these dollars strategically as they are essentially one-time use funds
and the majority are restricted for specific purposes. The anticipated revenues for the general fund during the first interim period are estimated at $331 million, an increase of $18 million compared to the initial budgeted of $312. This revision stemmed from various sources. Local control fund formula, or our property tax revenue, the escalated assessed valuation of local property taxes surging from the projected 4% to an actual 5.6%. Contribute to $5.3 million increase to the general fund revenue. Under the federal, state, and local revenue, the increase is attributed to the carryovers, Prop 28, the Dual Enrollment Opportunity Fund, Learning Recovery, Arts Music Block Grant, lease and rental revenues, and donations. The projection for the general fund expenditure indicate of $317 million, demonstrating an increase of $2.7 million from the initially budgeted of $314. The revision encompasses various categories like certificated, classified, and benefits. The reduction stemmed from diverse factors such as aligning our current staffing costs, transitioning internal hire expenditure to a temp agency primarily impacting our special ed aides, a decrease in workers' compensation rates, adjustment in our unemployment insurance, and whenever there's a change in our base salary, it affects our benefits category as well. Under the books, supplies, services, and other operating expenses, increases in these categories are the corresponding expenditure to the revenue received. I will turn it over now to Ms. Chow to continue the presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Yu. This slide shows us a comprehensive overview of the ending fund balance in our general fund. The ending fund balance at first interim is anticipated to be $105 million, or approximately 30% of our general fund budget. While this figure exceeds the typical threshold, it does align closely with the ending fund balances observed in unified districts throughout the state, as indicated by School Services of California. A notable contributor to these elevated ending fund balances is a receipt of one-time funds that we've consistently received over the last 8 years. However, recent developments, and specifically the state's $68 billion deficit, suggest that these one-time funds may no longer be available for the upcoming budget and for subsequent financial periods. The ending fund balance is categorized into 5 components: the non-spendable, restricted, committed, assigned, and unassigned ending fund balances. Each of these categories is accompanied by descriptions outlining the specific funding designations for which they are intended. In the course of the current budget development process, a comprehensive review of these funds was undertaken. The evaluation was aimed at assessing the continued relevance of these designations and recognizing that many were established by prior administrations and prior boards. While it's important to acknowledge that these funds are traditionally earmarked for planned expenditures, circumstances may necessitate a reevaluation of their allocation. And prudent fiscal management dictates that should the original plans for these funds no longer be pertinent, that they be reallocated to support the more immediate budgetary needs within the general fund. Here we're looking at our multi-year projection. This is our key resource for evaluating the fiscal landscape of the district's budget. As Ms. Yu mentioned, we're planning on judiciously spending down the remaining one-time funds that we've received over the last several years. The balance of those funds appear as a declining surplus in the current year and then the 2 out years. And with the volatility of the property tax revenue, the cessation of the one-time funds, and the state's budgetary challenges, making it unlikely that we'll be seeing these one-time funds in the near term, the district will need to utilize valuable resources in the most effective and responsible manner. So taking a look at the budget-related items, last week we met with our Fiscal Advisory Committee. We reviewed first interim in great detail, and it's really a very a committee that asks a lot of good questions and is very, at this point, familiar with the district's budget. Tonight is our presentation of first interim to the board. As we move into our next board meeting in January, we will have a presentation of the audited financial statements from the year that we just closed out. In February, the second interim will be reviewed by our Fiscal Advisory Committee. In March, the presentation to the board will be the second interim, and we will continue throughout the spring with our budget development and input into our LCAP. And with that, that concludes our presentation on first interim. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, before we discuss, can I get a motion to waive the 2-meeting rule? No public comment? Nope.
I move that we waive the 2-meeting rule.
Second? You have a second?
I second.
Okay.
And just to clarify before we vote, that the reason we waive the 2-meeting rule on this is that I believe this is due at the end of the month. Is that correct?
It's due December 15th.
So it's a matter of urgency to get it done. This happens every year.
Okay.
Most districts don't have to waive it because they don't have one. So they
Yes,
just
that's
go for it.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay, colleagues, can we vote on this student preferential vote? Colleagues?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you'll accept another motion?
Yeah, go for it.
I move that we certify to the district has met its financial obligations and approve the budget list revisions as presented.
Second.
Student preferential vote? Colleagues?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Holm, it's your time of the meeting. We're going to move on to, you want to do both your items at the same time? All right, so items B and C, authorization to award a contract for the JLS Middle School Administration and Library Project, and let's do that one first.
Okay.
Go for it.
So this is both the administration and library project that has been in DSA for quite a long time, but it is through DSA. We finally bid it. We had great bid coverage. This is the broadest bid coverage we had on any project we bid in the last several years. So we had 8 bidders. And our low bid was $12 million with Banner Builders, who we have not done work with them before, but they have bid several of our projects recently, and so they look forward to working with us. Approval of this would also include authorization for 10% change orders of $1.2 million and requires an increase in the project budget of $4 million. That is a result of both the extended DSA time and both extended fire alarm scope and extended structural scope as required by local fire authority for their review or their approval, and DSA for the extended structural review they made us do.
Okay. Are we supposed to waive the 2-meeting rule? Did we already talk about this?
On the bids, the first meeting is the authorization to submit and bid.
Okay.
Is considered
We don't need to do
the
that.
first one, yeah.
All right, so do I have a motion? Can I get a motion?
Are we doing both, or? Did you
Let's just do
present
this.
both or one?
No, he just presented one.
I just did one.
Yeah, let's just do this one first.
I move that we authorize staff and the superintendent and approve the increased project budget as presented.
Second.
Okay, student preferential vote?
Aye.
Colleagues?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you very
Right.
much.
Moving on to authorization to award a contract for the El Carmelo Elementary School HVAC system and fire alarm.
Yes, so as we've been working on several of our projects, we are both implementing HVAC and upgrading the fire alarm systems, replacing them campus-wide. So this project is to do both. We had a bid from R.C. Benson, who was the only bidder, but actually their bid was within the estimate. They were the contractor that did the HVAC upgrade for Palo Verde as well last summer, and it's the same team that worked over there, so we're confident in their performance for this project. The fire alarm upgrade also is the conversion of our old system that is about 5 years past its service life, to a game wall system, which is part of our new standard that we're transitioning to. And this includes a project budget transfer because we just have a general overall budget for both of them. So we're going to transfer the budget of $3.6 million to fund the project from our reserves. So this includes 2.776 for the project and a 10% change order contingency of $277,000.
Okay, can I get a motion?
I move that we authorize the staff and superintendent and approve the project budget and transfer of funds as presented.
Second.
Okay, student preferential vote? Aye. Colleagues? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to, we have no discussion, so moving on to information. All right, and we have no public comment, as far as I can tell. So colleagues, any comments? Student board reps, any comments? Anybody, any comments? No. All right. Moving on to board operations. Any committee reports? Remember that? Oh.
We have a city school liaison meeting this week, and I will report on it at the next meeting.
I've got one on, I think it's a Tuesday, December 19th in the morning. The Cubberley Ad Hoc is meeting with the ad hoc representatives from City Council for our first meeting together. I expect that they may be bringing some proposals to us, but I guess we'll find out when we get there or when an agenda is posted. And we will report back to you at the January meeting. And so are we doing board operations?
Board operations,
now too?
yeah.
Okay, so
Oh, wait.
Comment
Mr.
on our
Collins has
committee
some-
report?
Yeah.
I think we will, our new leadership team will have to make a decision about whether whatever is proposed, if something is proposed, whether we make a decision, whether we discuss that item in closed session or open session. And I don't have any particular guidance on that or a particular opinion on it, but I just want to point out that I think the city did one discussion in an open session and the rest of the discussion in closed session. And we'll have to decide what we want to do.
Okay, anybody have any operations? It's probably one of you two. You can
as a matter
fight
of
for who
fact,
goes first.
one of the things actually for agenda setting, now that I'm not in that role, I'm remembering from Mr. Holm coming and speaking to us. For a while now, we've talked about sort of doing either an item at a board meeting or a study session on where are we with bond funds. And due to inflation and rising costs and change orders and whatnot, we sort of have gone through that money and adding the HVAC after we had gone out for the bond, we're not in the same position we were. So looking at, what money is left and at what point, or do we start to wind down the program? Do we go out for another bond? What do we do? So that's just something for our new agenda setting committee to keep in mind. And I'm sure there are many things that we've done over the past few weeks. Chris talked about the Titan Town Hall, which was great, but they're escaping me right now. So I'm going to say happy holidays to everybody.
It's fast. I just wanted to share, I attended California School Board Association Annual Education Conference. Ms. DiBrienza was also there, as well as Dr. Austin and other members of the staff. And I just wanted to say I'm grateful for the engaging and inspiring sessions. There was governance, equity, negotiations, fiscal outlook, and community and student engagement sessions that I attended. And I also got to attend sessions presented and led by Dr. DiBrienza, and I got to attend a session led by Dr. Austin. And so we have leaders in this district that are presenting at California School Board Association. And so it was a great experience and just wanted to acknowledge that. So happy holidays, everyone.
Okay, with that, I think we're adjourned. Yeah? Okay.